At the Capitol with Representative Danny Morgan for Prague, Meeker, Chandler, a lot of Lincoln County, of course. And you've got something that's kind of in your craw right now. Talk about it.
Well, I'm very concerned. Several years ago, we passed legislation in this building that said we would have education funded by April the 1st. The reason that we made the commitment for the April 1st deadline was on the 10th of April, most school superintendents have to renew contracts or remove staff from the positions they're in and not renew contracts. And so April 10th's always been kind of a drop dead date for most administrators in the state of Oklahoma. As they watch this, it will be past the 10th, and they still at this time have not passed any budget, much less an education budget. So I'm really concerned that our educators as well as our administrators are in this limbo period, not knowing what to do, how to turn, where to go.
So the 1st of August or the 1st of April, we're supposed to have an idea for them of what they're going to be able to do, and then on the 10th is actually when they're under the gun. So right now, the people who plan the business of our schools are really under the gun.
Very much so. And again, we were supposed to, on April the 1st, have education's funding out of this building, approved, hopefully signed by the governor, so that the education institutions knew how much money each school would have to work with, so they could then have the next 9 days to evaluate their staffing needs, to make sure that they had the monies available to renew the contracts for personnel, both educators and support personnel. And the time has come, and that's not been funded, and now the date for them to make the decision. So they're almost kind of running on a hope and a prayer, hoping that if they renew that contract, the money will be there. If they make the decision not to renew a contract, and then we do give them the money, then they've got to go find that individual and say, can we have you back now? And it's a very poor way to run government.
So is it a law that it's supposed to be passed, or how is that looked at?
Well, it's actually in the Oklahoma statutes. It says by April the 1st, the legislature is to fund education. And the mantra that everyone used out here while we were trying to get that passed was fund education first. We want education to be one of the most important things we do in this building. And so everyone was all excited about, oh, let's fund, education by April 1. We put it in statute, and I don't know in the last 5 years that we've ever met that date.
So who is held accountable for that, in the sense of, if it's in legislation and it's a law, then who pays the fine, or who goes to jail?
Well, that's one of those laws that there is no fines and there's no enforcement of it. It was just kind of a statement by the legislature to say our intent is to have it by April 1st. It's almost a promise that we've made, and basically our goodwill, our trust of the public in us is what we put on the line, and so now we've kind of violated that trust. And I'm very concerned that our educational institutions, both higher ed and common ed, don't really know yet, including our career tech also.
So this is kind of one of those handshake deals in which we recognize as a legislator, or you recognized as a legislature, that it's important that these people have a little bit of time to be able to make a plan for what they want to do. And I guess the state just hasn't been able to keep their side of the handshake bargain.
They've not kept their side of the bargain. And again, the reason we did that was for the well-being of those teachers that are in those classrooms, those support personnel that want to make sure that they've got a contract for the next year as school begins to wind down. They're secure in the fact that, hey, I've got a contract signed, I know I'm coming back, and if not, then they need to make sure that they're out on the marketplace trying to find somewhere that they can use their services.
Wow, and teachers, administrators across the state, it doesn't take too many of you to become a loud voice in each of the districts. I mean, usually 7 different emails, 7 phone calls to your local representative really get their ear to the ground. Do you hear much from your local schools when things like this doesn't happen, Danny, or should you hear more?
I must compliment the superintendents and administrators and school boards and the teachers in my district, because I do hear a lot from them. In fact, this week alone I met with 5 of the 8 superintendents that I have normal contact with, and that was their concerns, is just tell us how much we're going to have and we'll make our budget around that, but we can't even begin to make a budget because we don't know. We assume we're going to get close to what we had before, so they're kind of working under those assumptions. But I mean, you couldn't run a business like that, and I don't know how we expect educators to try to run in that environment. They're very frustrated. They're very disappointed that we don't have the information, and particularly those teachers who have dedicated themselves to educating our kids, which is our most valuable resource Oklahoma's got, and we can't say to them, you're assured of an opportunity to teach here next year.
That's a tough deal. All across the state, we need to be heard. We need to contact our local representatives and let them know what you think about the process that's going on now to fund education. Representative Danny Morgan, thank you very much for coming by.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.